Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss one of the questions that came in searching sorting contest of interview preparation marathon. As you can see, it was 5th contest in the series. If you haven't participated in this contest yet or in this series yet, and make sure you participate in upcoming contests, it's a great way to just revise what you have studied or see how is the preparation going on. And the best thing is that it happens topic by topic. So you can practice each topic week by week and you can see the complete schedule over here. Okay, so now let's just go ahead. So let's see the questions that came in searching and sorting and let's try and solve them. So in this video, we will be talking about Aman and shopping. Okay, so I have already opened the question over here. So this is the question. Let's first try to understand the question and let's just see how the question is going ahead. Then we'll try and come up with the logic and write the code. The question is pretty simple, I'll say. So let's just see how it's going to be. Okay, so the question name is Aman and shopping. The question says Aman went to a shopping mall. There are n items in the shopping mall and each item has a price. Okay, the ith item has ai price. He has only x rupees and he wants to buy maximum items in x rupees. The condition is that he cannot buy more than one item of the same cost. You have to find how many items Aman can buy. He can't buy more than n items. Okay, so basically the question says, as I said, the question is pretty straightforward. There are n items in the shopping mall, n items. Okay, each item has some price. Let's say there are items 1, 2, 3 till n. This item has some price, let's say ai, let's call it ai, a1, let's call it a2, let's call it a3 till an. Okay, he has x rupees. He wants to buy maximum item in x rupees. The condition is that he cannot buy more than one item of the same cost. Okay, you have to find how many items Aman can buy. So the question is pretty much simple. Given n items and the prices and the person has got some amount of money, he has to buy as many items he can buy, but he cannot buy the item of same price again and again. Okay, so let's see what are the input format, output format and the test cases. So this is the input format. The first line contains an integer t denoting the number of test cases. This is t. For each test case, the first line of the input contains two integers n and x, where n is denoting the number of items and x is denoting the price. So here we have n and this is my x. The second line of the input contains n integer a1, a2, a3 till an separated by a space, ai denoting the price of ith item. So we saw this is price of 0th item, first item, second item, and this is how it's going to be. So since this is an array, we'll go from 0 to n minus 1, or you can say this is price of first item, second item, like you feel. Okay, for each test case, print a single integer, the maximum number of unique price items Aman can buy in x rupees. So these are the constants. So we will look forward to constants when we are writing the code. We'll see if something has to be taken care of specifically. Now let's see the example. So for first case, he has got n items and 10 rupees. Okay, and in 10 rupees, how many items he can buy? So let's say this is the output. I see if there's an explanation. So here is an explanation. For test case 1, input price of 8 items are this. The value of x is 10. He is buying these items. He is buying item number 1, 2, 4 and 8. The prices are 4, 2, 1 and 3. So in total he is buying 4 items. In second case we have 5 and 10. Okay, so in this case we have 10 rupees. What he can do is he can buy this item, he can buy this item and he can buy this item. So now if you can see that he is still having money that is left, but as we saw that he cannot buy item of same price twice, so he'll just be able to buy these 3 items. Okay, so that is the question. Now I would really like you guys to solve this particular problem first before watching rest of the video, and let me tell you, this is a very simple and straightforward problem. Do not complicate it and just think as raw as you can think, and it's a very simple approach that will be coming across. So first try on your own and then we'll see how to solve the problem. Okay, so I hope you tried the problem. So if you see, this is a very the solution to this problem, I'll say, is a greedy approach. So when I say greedy, it means is that what I'll do is that, let's say if I have to buy a maximum number of items, what will I do? What will I do is that I'll buy items that are of minimum prices. So let's say the prices are going to be 3, 2, 1, 6, and let's say I have to buy the maximum item. What will I do? I'll first pick the item with the minimum price. That's going to be 1. Then I'll pick the item with the second minimum price, that's going to be 2. Then I'll pick the third item price. So the logic is pretty simple, and since this is a sorting question, so I'm assuming that if you're solving this question, this approach will come to you very automatically. Okay, so now once you have done this, what will I do? One thing I know is that I'm going to pick up items that have got the least prices. So I'll start with picking up the item with least price, then the second least one, and the third least one. Now if you see this particular case, we have 3 threes. So one thing we know is that, let's say if there's something like we have 1, 1, 2, 3, 3. Okay, so in this case we can tend up to pick up one twice. So one thing we have to keep in mind is that we can pick up a price only once. So once we have picked up a price, we have to ensure that we don't pick it twice. So what we can do is that, so we can just keep a track of which particular price has already been picked. So we'll keep a frequency array that will take care of which particular price has already been picked, and we won't pick that again. Okay, so this is how it's going to be. So now let's say I'll just note down what is the approach. The approach is simple. So we start picking from least price, and then we pick the second least or second minimum, and then we do it so on. And what we have to do is that keep a track of price that is already picked. Okay, so now obviously what we have to do is that we have to take care of this thing, that how do we pick the least and then second least. So the obvious thing that comes in our mind is that if we are given array in this particular format, the obvious thing that comes in our mind is that I'll sort this particular array. This array will become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I hope I have written it correct. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what I'll do is that first I'll pick this, then I'll pick this, then I'll pick this. We'll keep on picking unless the price is adding to a value that is less or equal to the amount that the guy is having. Okay, so the approach is pretty simple to this question. So let's write down the complete steps now. So we will sort the array, start picking from index 1, index 0 for that matter, and keep on picking until price is less than x. Then what we do is that as soon as we pick a element, what we do is that we make frequency of that price, we increment it. Let's say the initially it will be 0, and before picking we just check if price is 0. Okay, now let's just quickly write down the code for this. Very straightforward implementation. Fine, so now this is the code that we have. We are taking t as input over here. We are running a loop t times. Here we are having n, which is going to be the amount that the person is having. We are having n here, which is basically the number of items that we have. X is the amount that the person has. Initially we are keeping item as 0, so basically item will be taking care that how many items we have picked up. And then we have a sum which is 0. We'll see where are we using sum. Basically sum, as we keep on adding the items, we'll keep on adding the prices. Then we take input n and x. Here we are having the array which is of size n to just take the input of the prices of the items. Then here we have a frequency array. So as you can see that AI can have maximum value of 10 to the power 4. Okay, so hence we have kept this size as frequency 10 to the power 4 plus 1. Okay, and we have initialized it to 0. Now here we are simply taking the input of all the array elements. Then here we are simply sorting it. Okay, and we are using the sort function that is there in C++. And here what we are doing is, as you can see, we are first checking that if frequency of arr I equal to 0, which means the price that we are picking up getting picked for the first time. If yes, we simply increment the sum. What we do is that we add the price of that to the sum. As we said that sum is taking care of what has been the price till date of all the items. And then what we do is that we increment our frequency array, which means the price has already been picked. And now we check if sum is less than equal to x, we do item plus plus. So let's say if things would happen as we saw 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here what will happen is that we'll check that okay, this is already being used, we won't use this, and then we will go to the next element. Okay, and this is how the things are going to be. We can also break this particular loop if any time the sum becomes greater than x. Okay, and we simply print this item over here. Let's just run this code and see what are the output we are getting. So we got the answer as accepted. Make sure you try this question on your own as well. Now let's just see our C program. So in this case, we have a simple program. Here we are just taking t as the input and we are running the loop t times. Here we are having n for containing the number of elements, x is for the amount. So basically item is taking care of the number of items that we pick up. Then we have sum that is taking care of the price of items that have been picked till now, the total price. Then here we are just taking n and x as the input. Here we are having the frequency array. The size of frequency array is 10 to the power 4 plus 1 because the maximum value a price can have is 10 to the power 4. So basically we are taking care of all the prices that could be possible by keeping in the frequency array. Now here we are just taking all the array elements as the input. Here we are sorting the array. So we are sorting the array in C using the qsort function. So if you already know about this function, that's great. Else we have a CMP function which we have written already over here. This is how we can just sort the array in C without having to write the code on our own. And now what we are going to do is that we are running a loop, and here in this particular loop what we are doing is that we are going to the particular price. We check that if the price is already picked. If it is not picked, we simply increment our sum and we increment the frequency array as well. And when we pick that particular price, we first check that if sum is less than x. If it is, then we simply increment the item. After the loop is over, we simply print the item. Okay, so I think the indentation has moved here a bit, so no worries, you can take care of that while you are writing the code. So that's how the code is in C. So let's just submit the code and see what answer we get. So you can see the code is accepted. Now let's just see the code in Java. So in case of Java, we have declared all the variables here. We will see as we go down what are the use of variables. We are having the frequency array. So basically frequency array is the array in which we will be keeping the frequency of all the prices that is there. So let's say if price 1 is there, how many price 1 has been used. So we will see that how many times price 1 has been used. And if we see that okay, it has already been used once, we won't use it again. Okay, so what we do is that we just take all the elements in this array of I, in this array R, and we sort this particular array using the inbuilt method. Okay, now here what we are doing is that we are running a loop. Okay, for all the elements, we first check that the price that particular element is having, is it already used. If it is not already used, it will be 0. Okay, and if it is not used, I'll simply add that to the sum and I'll increment the frequency of that particular price just to indicate that this is used now. If sum is less than equal to x, what I'll do is that I'll increment the item, I'll make the item plus plus. Okay, else obviously if the sum is cannot be used, then in that particular case we will simply won't increment the item. So item is basically the number of items that we are picking. So as we keep on picking the items, we'll keep on incrementing the sum with its price, and we will keep on incrementing the item one by one. Okay, you can also break at this particular place. If sum is greater than equal to x, you can just break at this particular place as well. Okay, now after we are done with this particular loop, we simply print the item. That's how it's going to be. So make sure you write this code on your own and try on your own as well. All the very best.